Welcome to the Life Success and Legacy Podcast. We're super excited. We are taking on a worthwhile endeavor at Life Success and Legacy. Our intention is to honor Nelson Nash, the man, as well as the infinite banking concept. We're going to create a series of resources, including podcasts and text, as a resource for others who want to truly understand with depth and clarity what Nelson shared in his book, Becoming Your Own Banker, as well as the many seminars and think tanks that we were fortunate to have attended during his life. So who is this intended audience? Well, we will use Nelson Nash's own words. It is written for the layman, not for financial advisors, but all life agents should be thoroughly knowledgeable of its content and practice. So whether you are an individual, part of a family, a business owner, or a life insurance agent, this is for you. So sit back, relax, and we will walk you through becoming your own banker step by step so you can reference the parts you want to revisit at your own pace. And we might have a little fun along the way. Hey, welcome back to the Life Success and Legacy Podcast. My name is Chris Bay and joined here by the founder of Life Success and Legacy, Mike Everett.
Good morning.
Mike, how you doing this morning? Good to see you. So last podcast, we were reading through what Nelson is describing, creating a bank like the ones you already know about. So that's your typical bank, but then he kind of throws in the little introduction to, oh, by the way, you can utilize cogeneration, and actually there's a system already established out there that you can use to create your own banking system. That's dividend paying whole life insurance. So now he's going to dig in deep, and we're going to try to unpack that for you as best we can. We are on the chapter called Creating Your Own Banking System Through Dividend Paying Life Insurance. That is on page 21 in the 5th edition. So if you have a book with you and you want to turn to that and follow along with us, that'd be great. Now, Nelson starts off with a definition of banking that he pulls from Webster's Third New International Dictionary. He says, banking, the business of a bank, originally restricted to money changing and now devoted to taking money on deposit, subject to check or draft, loaning money and credit, and any other associated form of general dealings in money or credit. It was interesting to me of how the banking industry has expanded. Like many things, people are looking for opportunities to make money, right? And banking's no different. And so they've expanded dramatically the role in our economics for sure. So Mike, there are some key pieces in this chapter, and I don't think we'll get through the whole thing. We're going to try and break it up into a couple different segments so that we can give the full weight to this chapter for sure. The majority of this chapter is breaking down how life insurance works, how a policy works, and why it gets better all the time. And that's one of the things that I personally love about it. The very first sentence in here, and we use this sentence in our boot camp, and if you can talk on this a little bit, the very first principle that must be understood is that you finance everything that you buy. You either pay interest to someone else or you give up interest you could have earned otherwise. He talks about this being opportunity cost. So Mike, we talk about this in our boot camps, and it was actually a really big lesson for me early on in my IBC education. You want to talk about that idea that we finance everything that we buy?
Well, the example we always use is a car. We all buy cars, so we've got to think about the ways in which we would actually purchase or use a vehicle. So 99.9% of the people out there, when they see the car that they want, they go to the dealership, they choose the car they want, and they say, we want to finance it. So basically you go out and you borrow money from a financial institution, and you basically get the car immediately. So you either finance the car or you pay cash. Now, in the financing, you get the car immediately, and that's the way life is. And then you make payments to an institution, or you delay the gratification and you save money, and then you pay cash. So the very first principle is that you finance everything you buy. You either pay interest, finance it, car, or you pay cash and give up the interest.
Hmm.
So with IBC and utilizing dividend paying whole life insurance, what we do in this particular example is we put both sides of the equation together, and we show people how to actually finance the vehicle itself.
So they're paying cash, but they're also financing it. It's just they're financing it with themselves.
That is
This
correct.
this opportunity cost and the fact that we finance everything in our lives was really an eye opener to me. A little embarrassed to say that, but go back multiple years when I first was starting to learn about this back in my days in the schools, and um, we were saving up and paying cash for stuff. We were trying to keep our debt as limited as possible, and that's just because we were on a limited income. We were trying
Right.
to do the best we knew how, and we were following for about 7 years. We followed Dave Ramsey's teachings, and the challenge with that was that we would save up, and then we go pay cash,
Yep.
and then we start saving up again, and we go pay cash.
Pay cash.
And we were interrupting the compounding growth of our money repeatedly, over and over. And, we always talk about the eighth wonder of the world being compounding interest. And when
Right.
would you ever want to interrupt that? Well,
Never.
never. And yet I
Yeah.
was doing it. We were doing it over and over and over again. So that was really an eye opener to me, is the fact that when I put my premium deposits into my policy, that money is growing and compounding and getting better every single year.
Every
And
year.
yet I can borrow against it also to finance and pay cash for things without impacting the compounding growth of my policy. Oh, and oh, by the way, there happens to be a death benefit attached to it as well, just as a
Just
kick,
thrown in. That's
just
right.
thrown in. So, yeah, that paragraph, that introductory paragraph right there, on page 21 is really big. Then Nelson takes us into the world of economic value added. And there's
Mm.
some key concepts. There's the wind current, there's economic value added. There's a variety of concepts that are key, that really what Nelson brought is the idea of redesigning whole life insurance and applying banking concepts. EVA, economic value added, is one of those banking concepts that he unpacks for us and is so important in creating your own banking system. You want to walk us through the EVA concept?
Well, economic value added is basically, okay, so he uses a number of different examples in his book, but let's just say that all of a sudden you're used to going down and financing a car. And of course, if we're going to go down and finance a car, what do we look for? We look
Lowest
for the
interest rate.
lowest interest rate. So we've believed our whole lives that interest rates have everything to do with everything. And of course, if anybody has spent any time with us, they find out very quickly that interest rates don't have anything to do with it. But yet we've bought into it. So part of what we do is we finance a car at 0% or 1.9 or whatever it is. So when we start talking to people about the economic value added portion of IBC and how you can utilize your own system, if you are so used to paying 0% interest or 1.9% interest to a finance company, but then you become the financing company, if you were the financing company, what percentage would you want to make? Would you want to make the little amount, or would you want to make a bigger amount? And 9 out of 10 people say instinctively Well, I'd like to pay as little as I can. But then we help them think through this, and then we reiterate over and over and over, if you were the financing company, would you want to make a little or a lot? And they go, well, I would want to make a lot. Then we help them think through, if you were going to pay yourself, then you would want to pay a little more. So that is actually adding economic value added. So you would increase the payment to yourself versus what you might pay to an outside financing organization. Pretty simple.
In essence, it's saying, okay, if I borrow money from the bank, there's a cost for it.
Yep.
Well, if I'm going to borrow money from someplace, and if it's going to be from myself, my own banking system, wouldn't I want there to be a cost there as well? I mean, it's my money, and if I charge myself for the use of my money, isn't that just increasing the capital that I can come back and use again? It's really recycling the dollars, and I want to cycle as many dollars through my system as I possibly can.
Well, if you go back to even biblical days, EVA was in place during biblical days. In fact, it says earning more than the cost of capital is about the oldest idea in enterprise. That's exactly what the money changers used to do back in the biblical days. And so banking and finance companies have just, they've put this on steroids is what they've done. and we wonder why our world is in such a mess.
One of Nelson's quotes that he has said over and over again, and many of us have quoted him, is the premise of EVA says, if you know what's really happening, you'll know what to do.
Yep.
The challenge of that is really digging down to figuring out what exactly is happening. And it's so difficult today with so much noise. Pick a topic, whether it's religion or politics or anything. There's so much noise out there. It is really challenging to figure out what exactly is happening so that we can figure out what to do. So one of the things I loved about Nelson Nash is, man, he just nails it right down the middle. He's so well read, so studied. I know you got some thoughts. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I'm going to go back to one of the very, very basic principles that Nelson used to always say. He said it's really a matter of how you think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the noise that we are referring to right now. So part of our job as infinite banking coaches, teachers, educators is to help people see what's going on. That's exactly what he said. If you really know what's happening, you'll know what to do. But then helping people think through what is the greatest benefit to them, not a financial institution. What's the greatest benefit to them? And of course, then we can jump into all kinds of different places with Nelson's basic principles, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it all really comes back to how you think. And part of our job is to help them think differently.
On that note, an example of that, of how we think, comes up. I had a question asked of me this week in a coaching session with clients that we've been working with, and the wife asked, Chris, why isn't everybody doing this? And I said, I mean, what we were doing is we were essentially showing them how to be completely free of outside debt in the very first month. And she was like, why wouldn't everybody do this? This is amazing. Am I missing something? And it comes back to what you just said. It's how people think, and it's how we think is so much influenced by the noise and the information that we listen to and learn. It's really challenging for just average Joe and Mary out here to think clearly because there's so much misinformation.
The paradigm that we have all been taught in high school and college and business classes is set in stone. Mm-hmm. And for us to come outside the lines and think beyond what that noise is and what the paradigm is that we have already got into our brain, I'm telling you, it's nigh to impossible to get people to think differently. So this is why Life, Success, and Legacy, our team takes such great measures and length of time to take the educational portion to an all new level. Somebody asked me, said, "Hey, we're ready to go. We want to do this." And I go, no, you're not really ready to go. I would say that our average family has somewhere between 6 and 8 hours of IBC education before we will allow them to move forward.
Yeah.
And we have found this out through the School of Hard Knocks, by the way. We've had families that move on, they don't understand what they're doing, and 2 years down the road they go, I don't think this is really for us. Shame on us.
Yeah.
For not actually sticking to our guns and doing what is necessary to help people understand and change this thinking that's going on inside their brain. I'm telling you, it is really, really difficult at times, and we're excited to start. Well, I am. And but it's fun. It's fun. It's challenging for us. It is it's what we do every day. So it's fun.
Yeah. It's a blast teaching people and asking questions and posing information that might cause them to think about something or look at something a little bit differently, just to open their minds. Yeah. I mean, really, it goes back to Nelson's principles. It's about thinking long term, capitalizing your system. And we talk about that in terms of money, but it's also in terms of education. With our clients, we think long term. We capitalize the system, we educate them, we spend a lot of time up front educating them, and then don't steal the peas. To me, what that means is, with the way we work with our clients, is we don't leave them. It's not like, hey, we're going to get you signed up for this life insurance and there you go, have a nice life. That's really when
play hard.
that's really where the ongoing relationship and the coaching. I mean,
that's right.
That's where I spend probably 70% of my time is supporting existing clients with what they're doing in their lives and when life hits them. So this is a packed. I know we went off a little bit, but it's so good. So much information here. This is a long chapter, so we're gonna break it up a little bit. I'm gonna pause us here because the next section is really getting into the engineering of the life insurance, and I want to make sure we get through a good section of that. So we'll pick that up with our next podcast. For those of you who have not got a copy of Nelson's book, Becoming Your Own Banker, you can get a copy of that at our website, which is lifesuccesslegacy.com. We also have a learning kit available on our website, which includes either Becoming Your Own Banker or the case for IBC. You get to choose which one you would like. And we've really put together a learning kit that if you're that type of learner, if you're not a quick start, it was really designed for the Chris Bays of the world. It's for the people who want to get a packet of information and kind of read through it at their leisure, and write down questions and highlight and those kinds of things. Our learning kit's really good for that. For the quick starts, just call us. We'd be happy to talk with you. Mike Everett, give him a call. He'd love talking to you about IBC that might have impact in your life. So thanks for joining us, and we'll pick you back up with the next podcast.
Thanks, Chris.
Mm-hmm.